The date is September 20th, 1914. World War I had erupted only recently, igniting a global contest of strategy between Germany's Kaiserliche Marine and Britain's Royal Navy. In the peaceful confines of Zanzibar harbor, a watchman stood his post aboard HMS Pegasus. The cruiser, freshly returned from a diplomatic errand to German East Africa, was undergoing silent repairs, the crew enveloped in a quiet calm during their rest. As the sentry kept a watchful yet serene vigil, the harbor resonated with the quietude of routine. Then, just after 5 a.m., the peace disintegrated. From afar, the rogue German light cruiser Königsberg seized the initiative of surprise. It commenced an unremitting bombardment. The watchman, suddenly plunged into bedlam, found himself on the front lines of the Battle of Zanzibar. The First World War had now arrived on the East African coast. At the war's outbreak, Germany wielded a considerable naval menace with forces deployed overseas, though their tangible effect on British commerce remained slight. Germany, possessing the globe's third-largest empire, governed colonies dispersed worldwide. Despite the empire's size, its European population was modest, and most colonies operated at a financial deficit. In Europe, the British and French naval blockade chiefly aimed to prevent German forces breaking out of European waters, with Germany's overseas units posing a latent rather than immediate peril. A vital German naval outpost was Tsingtao, the operational base for Vice Admiral Maximilian Graf von Spee's East Asiatic Cruiser Squadron. Spee's flagship, Scharnhorst, and its sister ship, Gneisenau, were advanced armored cruisers. Capable of 20 knots, these ships were famed for their gunnery expertise. Spee's squadron also included the light cruiser Emden, while other light cruisers such as Nuremberg, Leipzig, Dresden, and Karlsruhe patrolled the Pacific and Atlantic. Moreover, German forces incorporated the light cruiser Königsberg, positioned off Africa's east coast. Beyond these main warships, Germany, like other colonial powers, possessed a collection of survey vessels, river gunboats, and minor craft unsuited to significant sea battles. As war began, German ships in the Far East sought haven in Tsingtao. Others, like certain river gunboats, secured sanctuary in Chinese ports. Yet numerous German naval vessels led a fugitive life, terrorizing the oceans and preying on Allied merchant shipping. 2 months later, the British were caught off guard when Captain Karl von Müller of the German light cruiser Emden executed a bold, unexpected maneuver. The belief that Emden was part of von Spee's squadron caused a grave miscalculation. Müller, exploiting this error, achieved total tactical surprise when he appeared in the Bay of Bengal. The bay, normally a hub of regular peacetime maritime traffic, had resumed its usual flow without anticipating a raider's presence or probability. Between September 10th and 14th, Müller launched a destructive assault, sinking 6 steamers and capturing 2 more for use as colliers. Alarm and dread seized the region, intensified by British knowledge of another German light cruiser operating from Germany's sole base on the East African coast, Dar es Salaam. In those late summer months of 1914, the light cruiser Königsberg haunted East African waters, playing a high-stakes game of pursuit and evasion. Under Captain Max Luff's command, the cruiser had orders to disrupt traffic at the Red Sea's entrance. The lead ship of her class, this light cruiser, entered service in 1907. Displacing 3,814 tons and capable of 24.1 knots, she carried 10 10.5 centimeter and 10 5.2 centimeter guns plus 2 torpedo tubes, with a crew of 322, all officers and enlisted men included. She possessed 3 sister ships, Nuremberg, Stuttgart, and Stettin. These played key roles in various battles, with Nuremberg sinking HMS Monmouth at the Battle of Coronel far across the world. With Königsberg stationed at Dar es Salaam, Rear Admiral Herbert King Hall, commanding the Cape Station, strategically deployed his older, slower vessels, Hyacinth, Astrea, and Pegasus, to counter the potential threat. The most crucial ship for Königsberg's destiny was HMS Pegasus, a Polaris-class protected cruiser. Launched in 1897, displacing 2,740 tons fully loaded and powered by 7,000 IHP from 8 Reed water tube boilers, she made 20 knots. Armed with 8 4-inch guns, 8 3-pounder guns, and 2 18-inch torpedo tubes, her crew totaled 224. Sailing from Dar es Salaam on July 31st, Königsberg deftly evaded Captain John Alexander Inglis's Pegasus, becoming a lurking peril. Concerned by this, the Admiralty's August 12th directive rerouted Astrea to join flagship Hyacinth, leaving Pegasus isolated and unsupported at Zanzibar. Yet this seemed unimportant, for King Hall had devised a scheme to cripple the Königsberg. 1 week later, Captain Alfred Charles Sykes aboard cruiser Astrea appeared before Dar es Salaam. Without warning, Sykes destroyed the wireless telegraph station, severing Germany's vital communications lifeline. Panic erupted as the harbor master, overcome by fear, deliberately sank the floating dock. Through a single bombardment, Astrea deprived Königsberg of both a lifeline and access to the safety of the region's only German port. From that point, Königsberg faced mounting challenges, crippled by coal shortages. The British blocked the collier Königsberg's departure and preempted fuel acquisitions. Despite these troubles, Luff remained combative. After a week prowling trade routes off Aden, he sank the SS City of Winchester. Realizing British reinforcements would come, Luff steered his vessel southward to anchor safely within the Rufiji River Delta. Struggling against the monsoon and hiding along the African coast, Luff's men lived a fugitive existence, desperately scavenging for coal, hampered by logistical problems. Meanwhile, Pegasus sailed to Bagamoyo in German East Africa on a diplomatic mission, before returning to Zanzibar harbor for engine repairs. Sheltered in the Rufiji, Luff learned of Pegasus's location and its defenseless state. He set sail, planning to confront the cruiser. At first light on the 20th, the alert armed tug HMS Helmuth, strategically stationed by Inglis to protect the island, found itself surprised. The element of surprise was employed with precision, startling even Pegasus's most experienced officer. Königsberg managed to close to about 8,000 meters, placing her beyond Pegasus's artillery range while making the British vessel an ideal mark for her superior guns. Exactly at 5:15 a.m., the morning's quiet was shattered by the terrifying scream of 2 shells speeding towards the resting ship. An officer, roused from deep slumber on deck, sprang into action. Awakened abruptly by the immediate danger, Königsberg unleashed a continuous barrage. The Pegasus crew responded by rushing to battle stations, yet the German shelling caused havoc, exacting a heavy toll. The resounding boom of the ship's 8 4-inch guns echoed pointlessly, failing to close the gap between the adversaries. Pegasus's shells plunged into the water. Königsberg fired another salvo. A shell landed perilously close to the sentries on deck, yards ahead, showering the topmast with spray. Ingalls ordered the white flag raised to avert his ship's complete destruction. Communications broke down. The fore control reported an impediment in conveying orders to the hard-pressed guns. Urgent commands were sent to the after control, but an eerie silence descended as the guns stopped firing. Despite trying to return fire, Pegasus hadn't come near to landing a direct hit on Königsberg. Meanwhile, Königsberg continued its gradual advance until within almost 6,000 meters. Another salvo shredded Pegasus's white ensign while tearing additional holes in her hull. Understanding Pegasus could not reach Königsberg, Inglis saw the futility of resistance. Since the white flag was ignored, he commanded the lowering of the colors and the evacuation of the ship. As the flag descended, the universal token of surrender, his vessel was struck by a final volley of 9 German shells. Amid the turmoil, as the ship tilted dangerously, all usable lifeboats were launched, and a hurried effort to disembark the wounded unfolded. Per a detailed officer's account, a precarious choice presented itself. Were they now prisoners of war, or did Königsberg's fading outline grant them a temporary escape? Inglis, observing the sinking cruiser, gave the solemn order to abandon ship. The steamer Kilwa's appearance offered a faint ray of hope, and Königsberg's leisurely withdrawal meant most surviving crew would avoid capture. Aware of this, appeals were made to return to Pegasus, hoping to tow her to shallower waters. Kilwa's arrival, however, could not prevent the inevitable. The slope of the shore aided Pegasus's overturning and sinking. Königsberg sailed slowly away, firing salvos at HMS Helmuth during its exit. In all, Königsberg's attack spanned no more than 15 minutes. Yet the cost was shocking. 102 casualties, 42 dead, and the rest left injured and maimed. The Royal Navy had forfeited one of its Polaris-class protected cruisers, entirely unable to resist. Following this hard-earned triumph, Captain Loof navigated the German light cruiser Königsberg back to the Rufiji Delta for critical repairs, threading through humid swamps and obstacles to elude British chasers. Intent on averting another Pegasus calamity, the Admiralty diverted cruisers Chatham, Dartmouth, and Weymouth to pursue the elusive Königsberg. The pursuit escalated when Captain Sidney Robert Drury Lowe strategically scuttled the Collier Newbridge to obstruct a delta channel on November 10th. Trapped, Lowe converted Königsberg into a fortress further upstream, opting for a strategic impasse over risking immediate naval confrontation. As December arrived, aerial attacks faltered, pressing Admiral Drury Lowe to authorize a new assault strategy. Shallow draft monitors Severn and Mersey sailed from Britain, navigating dangerous channels by July 6th. However, when they engaged Königsberg, the counterblow was ruinous. A renewed assault a week later left Königsberg a wreck, compelling Captain Loof and his surviving crew to abandon ship. Altogether, they had lost 33 men over 7 months, mainly to sickness. Königsberg's destruction marked the conclusion of German naval defiance in distant oceans. With no German warships operating beyond home waters, the high seas fleet's activities were restricted. The sinking of Königsberg, after 7 months of evasion, indicated a shift in the balance, limiting German influence outside the North Sea. Thank you very much for viewing this video. Please leave a like. It genuinely assists the channel. If there's a topic, battle, or person you wish to learn more about, share your thoughts in a comment. I also wish to express my gratitude to my channel members for their generous support. Don't neglect to subscribe. See you next time.